is that most people, when they look to innovate or improve things, don't actually have a process that they follow. So would you say that you teach that process?
Absolutely. You're correct. The process is often implicit or emergent. Winging it. And the thing is, when we specifically talk about innovation, there are processes, but they're closer to kind of thinking in maturity than necessarily linear A, B, and C, and D. When you have an idea, your first reaction should be, I need to check if this idea makes sense. Your first reaction or first instinct shouldn't be, I need to find money for this idea to pump it out and bring it to the world at all costs. So yes, that is to some extent process thinking, but it's not necessarily what people would always assume, like there is a linear process to it. There's a stage gate model, like I need to do A, B, C, D, but at least it gives us some framing. And when we talk about this type of, let's say, maturity levels, what's usually my recommendation is start from what I just call, market audition, validation, exploration, etc. Figure out if your idea makes any sense at all. And very, very cheap practices are, mankind is very inventive and creative. Your idea or something similar to it has probably been made in the past. Figure out, does it exist right now? If it does, figure out who is buying it, why are they buying it, what are they doing with it, etc. Like small things like that people overlook are very easy ways to start with your innovation project, to test it out, to figure out, is it worth your time at all? That's your first check. Not if you can make millions with it, but should Bruno and Thomas spend any more of their precious time on this idea? Ideas are cheap. Time goes only one direction for now. If you know a way to reverse it, please let me know. But if time is the most precious thing you have, then you must realize that ideas are nothing but commodity. And this is where innovators, and heck, people that are not even innovators, they get an idea and they hold it close to their heart and they feel it's something precious. It always stays close to them, but it never gets exposed to the real world. And they hold this false belief that this idea is just theirs and they have only one chance at it. In most cases, that's not true. If it's good, it'll come back. It's very, very rare that idea is so brilliant, unique, and at the same time so easy to copy. Because Thomas, you might have the best idea in the world, but it's in your head and we are not perfect communicators. So even if you say it to me, I won't be able to grasp really everything that you're thinking, and there will be so much more hidden behind that idea because you did much more thinking about it than I did. So there is very little reason to hold ideas so secret, because if you hold them secret, you never expose them to the world, you never get feedback, you never can develop your idea.
It makes me think that people are afraid to get that kind of feedback. That's why they hold it close to their chest. Do you think that's true?
Absolutely, 100%. And it's different types of fear. So in my experience, there is definitely this fear of being mocked, being ridiculed. Oh, this is a silly idea. Why are you working on that? This is not worth your time. That's one fear. And to that, I always say, what your friends say doesn't matter. The only feedback that matters is from your potential customers or benefactors of your idea. So if you're working on teddy bears for adult men, then only feedback from adult men is what you should care about. not your neighbor, not even your wife to some extent. It's kind of, people that this idea for are the people you want feedback from. So that's it. Of course, every innovator is going to be ridiculed at least once in life. So that's normal. Relax. Then the second one is, of course, fear of failure. It's like, is my idea good enough? Will anyone react to it? And to that, I go back to the story I shared earlier. Ideas are commodities. If nobody wants it, that doesn't mean that you failed as a person. It just means that at this moment in time, people don't want it. If you want, you can test it later in life, or you can just put it on your shelf and be at peace because you tested the idea and maybe it didn't get the response you wanted it to, but you can at least know that you tried. And the third one, which is quite fascinating, is actually fear of success. So in my experience, a lot of leaders, and especially founders of startup companies, once they get to the red line, meaning, you know, their first big contract or maybe their first 10,000 or 100,000 customers, the gravity of success starts setting in. They start realizing, okay, now I have responsibility to deliver my product or service or whatever to all these people. And I have responsibility to keep delivering to them, you know, over years and years and years. And not only that, but I will need to hire people, and I will need to grow the company, and I will need to, you know, always think about their livelihood, because I mean, their job is very rarely to make company extremely successful. Their job is part of their business. It's just how we are. So that fear, to that I can only say, well, never fear success, but always find a peer group. Peer groups are the best thing, you know. Find people in similar position and speak with them. I wouldn't call it a therapy, but it is a sort of therapy.